All right, so I put in the title. I'm going to finally get to this. To click or not to click. There's another musician friend of mine on Facebook here who had, if he pops up, he's more than weigh in. I'm not going to say who he is, but I kind of agree with everything that he was saying and most of the people that had weighed in. But he said, your band is only as good as your drummer. That was like his opening line. And I do agree with that, because there's so much on the success of the band that depends on the drummer. And he said something like, a guitar player or bass player may get away with hitting a wrong note here and there, and the audience would be none the wiser. But if the drummer is constantly missing a beat or tripping over the rhythms, or his tempos is just a roller coaster ride of tempos through every song, it's, imagine riding in a car and somebody's on the gas, on the brake, on the gas, on the brake, on the gas, on the brake. There's just that whole, there's nothing smooth about that ride. And I think some drummers tend to play that way. And so if the drummer's playing that way, the whole band's going to be like trying to guess where one is, or where the beat is. And it just creates this whole mess. And then that led to this discussion of, I think he's pro metronome, having the click, as am I. And it's not that I can't play without the click. I think I have really great meter with or without it. I was really, really arrogant in timing and metronome stuff when I was in my early 20s. I'm still arrogant in some things, I think, probably. You think the laughing guy with the coffee can be arrogant? Yeah, I guess probably I can. So what had happened, I was on a recording session in Los Angeles, and it was involving some people with some pretty nice resumes, and I felt really prepared to be in the studio. I knew the 8 songs, I think, really well that I was going to record. I wasn't questioning my parts. I wasn't thinking, what was I going to do in this chorus, or I knew how my bass drum part was going to work rhythmically and musically with the bass player and all of those things. I was really, really prepared. The one thing that I was not prepared to do was to play to the click in the studio. I knew that I was going to play to the metronome in the studio, but in my mind, I thought it was going to be easy. It's just this. And I was going to play to it, and in my mind, I thought, no problem. But I did not practice to do that. I couldn't tell you what the BPMs were for the songs. I just didn't know. I just knew the songs. So I get in the studio, and they turn that click on, 8 and you're in, and start playing, and I could hold on for a few seconds, and then I would be off. And I did what a lot of people do when they first start playing with the metronome, is we blame the metronome. Something's wrong with your machine. I really, really, really felt that machine was off, because how could I possibly be wrong? And I thought, oh, well, are the batteries going dead in that thing? Because it feels like it's slowing down, or it felt like it was speeding up, or whatever the case may be. I struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled to try to get through that first song. And probably 2 hours later, and I'm not kidding, 2 hours to get the first decent take of a song, because I was not ready to play with the metronome. I was nowhere practiced with that. I wasn't a thing in my mind that I thought needed attention. And now here I am, costing this band extra studio time because I'm the guy that's not ready. And I see my buddy Jeff Pools on here, another drummer in town. He is also pro click. He's also pro. He can play without it too if need be. So um, Jeff would probably agree with most of what I'm saying. So that recording session was really long, and it made me a ball of nerves because the realization that I wasn't prepared, and that now I'm the guy that's holding up the flow. As I progressed through the rest of the recording session of it, I think we were there for a week. I did get better at playing to that. In fact, I think I re-recorded the first song again because I started to kind of figure out how to play with that metronome, which I had never had done. And I mean, if I was going to put up some kind of a defense about that, is none of my drum teachers that I had growing up, as great as they were and as influential they were, not only on my life but my playing, we never really gave attention to playing with the click, playing with the metronome. And you know, when you're in high school band, you're being obedient to your band director's time. So any focus that we had with the metronome was very, very little. And so I make my students have the experience of playing to the metronome. So Marcy, Blue Sky is pro click as well. Blue Sky, I'm not sure what Blue Sky is. Help me out there. So my teachers didn't stress playing to the metronome, and I do stress that with my students. I've got 40 students who get put under the microscope frequently. Not because I think they need to use it in their performance, but you're just trying to create some muscle memory. Blue Sky Band. Oh, Marcy, is that your band? Maybe that's your band. I apologize. I'm not in the know. Mary is probably in the know. Well, if that's the case, very cool. Very cool. Repeatability is a great thing live. And I'll come back to like my reasons for playing to the click live here in a moment. But that recording session where I was floundering about, the producer engineer pulled me aside, and he had this very serious look on his face because I'm kind of crashing the session, so to speak. He said, "Look, do you want to be a drummer that makes money, or do you want to be a drummer that makes a lot of money?" And I said, "Well, I want to make a lot of money." And he pointed his finger right at my chest and said, "You have to become friends with the click. You've got to learn how to play that and make it feel good." And he goes, "Otherwise, you're not going to survive this business, at least from a session player point of view. Like, even your own band might get in on a session, and if you're not ready to play with the click, there's other drummers that studios will hire to come in and play the drum parts for the drummer because he can't hack it in the studio." That's a very true and real thing that happens. So Marcy, it says it's her first. Gotta let my eyes adjust. My first experience with the pro click drummer. Steve Alderetti's here. I love you, Steve. Click, baby. Yes, click. I've played music with Steve here before, too, and everybody gets the click, not just the drummer. That's a situation where you got cues and sometimes backing tracks, and oftentimes those scenarios is also, stuff that's synced with video. And a lot of these huge shows that you go to, like Taylor Swift, for example, is like the number one concert right now. I think I was told that by the time that Taylor's done with this current tour, now I'm not trying to make you pro or like or dislike Taylor Swift, because I personally am not, I don't connect with her music. But let me tell you, she's doing something right on multiple levels, because when this tour is done, she will actually be a billionaire. That's how much money is coming in. And uh, you don't have those kind of audiences because you suck. And I can tell you that her whole show has some kind of program going for lighting and you know, pyro type things, video, all of that stuff is all on a clock. It's all there's probably very little thing left to chance, if anything at all, with that show. So yeah. Um, so this friend of mine who posted about, like, your drummer is only, or your band is only as good as your drummer, because you got to have great time. And so that's one of the reasons why he's, pro metronome. I use a click a lot live. Like with Cliff, I use the click on probably 90% of the songs we play. There's probably 5 or 6 that I don't use the click to, and some of the reason is those songs weren't recorded to a click in the first place, and so when we're pushing and pulling those songs and putting it on a grid, it as well as I could play to the click, and the rest of the band has great timing as well, it still doesn't feel right, because this song was recorded a certain way. Some of the Johnny Cash stuff that we play and those, there's something that doesn't quite work. I will say though that when you're not playing with the click and the entire band has excellent timing, this song can drift a little bit and you don't really notice it. But when the song's drifting like windshield wipers all over the place, you're going to notice that. So you just have to have really great internal clock and time and feel. You could play mechanically perfect to a click and it sound very sterile, very mechanical, very institutional. All those words that make music sound cold. Like the hallway at a hospital is very sanitary and very stark and cold, and yes, robotic. Those kinds of things. The beauty in playing with the click is to make that feel good, like what's happening in between what's happening in those spaces. I think the people who are really resistant to playing to a click probably would be more like the early 20s version of Fred Rock, where you maybe you have a certain skill set and you're comfortable with that, but then the studio exposes your weakness. When you're Gary, you're bailing. I guess you're probably at work. I think you and I got to sit down and yes, we got to have coffee soon. You and your oat milk. I told you forever and ever I'm going to associate Gary Tackett with oat milk in his coffee. RJ's here. Virtually every large-scale production using tracks now playing to a click is essential. Yeah. Now, look, typically the people that are frowning upon that and being critical of that are people who have never been at that level and never will be at that level. They're going to stay playing at the corner bar, and that's where all the experts are, right? I've done these coffee things before where a while back I said, who are you going to take advice from? I have a plan in mind for my music career, and but it would not be working had I not found the right people to mentor me in those directions. And those people are not at the same level as I am or below me. They are people who are already living the life that I'm trying to have. And at the moment, my life's pretty good, and it just keeps getting better because I know what I want to do, and then I solicit advice from the people who have already gone through what I'm trying to do. It's different when I'm talking to some of my other colleagues who have yet to achieve the same thing that I'm working for, but to listen to their advice, which doesn't involve a plan whatsoever. Their plan is to talk about all the things that failed them, and that because they failed them, that it's not possible for that stuff to work out. So, but going back to playing with the click is, for example, Midline just played Saturday night. We played 12 songs. 6 of those I did not use the Met on. And those 6 songs without the Met were recorded without the Met. And some of those were recorded by a different drummer because I'm not the original drummer of the band. And so when you take those songs and you try to put it on the grid, it's a weird thing to try to navigate because the band's just been so used to a gentle push and pull, which is fine, which is completely fine. I mean, they sound fine on the record and all of that. The stuff that I've always been involved with has had the click on it, so it makes sense, right? The cool thing is, like, when you're playing with the click, guitar players and even bass players not as much as guitar players, but guitar players will be using effects and delays and reverbs and whatever on wah pedals, all of these kind of things that have some kind of timing within them. So if we always play this song at this same tempo, the guitar players can have these effects are ready to go that fit within the time frame of the song. So, like, if you hit your guitar and it goes, you know, is timed, then it's going to fit perfectly with the song when you play that. Another thing is how a singer is singing and breathing. If I play a song too fast or too slow, that's going to affect how that singer can sing. It affects how they're breathing to stay on pitch, how long they can hold a note, all of those things. So if I'm making a singer rush and they're trying to breathe to get the words in, then now I'm messing up their ability to sing well. If I play a song too slow, even if it's milliseconds, when they're holding something out and they got to hold longer, they got to have more breath to make that happen. And so that, I mean, it can really, really, really affect the singer. So yes, going back to my other friend's thing that he posted, like, your band is only as good as your drummer. And if your drummer's messing it up, sitting at the back of the stage, it's affecting everything else that's happening. It cannot not affect it. It's you're going to go with the drummer or you're not. So yeah, when I play these songs and we have this repeatability, now that doesn't mean that you can't. I don't want to confuse playing with a click to playing with tracks or anything like that, because if you play to tracks, then you're stuck to a form. You have to be obedient to the arrangement of the song. And that's another whole skill set too, is that, okay, now I cannot mess this up. If the song's just to the click and the band suddenly feels like, hey, we're just going to bring it down and we're just going to vamp on whatever this thing is while the singer starts talking about something, maybe he's telling a story or whatever, the band can still keep on time and have that happen. If you're playing the songs that have tracks, you know, you got backing tracks, maybe you got horn stuff happening, keyboard things. Those are all great tools, but you cannot change the form. And like I said when I was mentioning Steve Alderetti on here, is that sometimes, you know, bands just keep elevating what they're able to provide for you as an experience live. And a lot of that stuff is sequencing to lighting and or video. And yeah, so let's see. A mentor once told me if the drummer can't play to a click, the second half of that sentence doesn't matter. Just the drummer can't play part is what. I don't have I might start bringing my glasses to read this fine print. Jared, the breathing is how I can immediately know if the tempo is right. Yes. Yeah, because you get trained to singing a song a certain way. And now when you get up live, if everybody's amped up, you don't want to, because you're constantly running, literally out of breath. So playing to a click live is, you can have this repeatability from show to show. There's a certain comfort in all of that. Like I said, guitar effects, keyboards. Jeff Poole was on here earlier. I don't know if he still is or not, but Jeff has his band Casio Dreams, which is an 80s synth pop cover tribute band, and my wife sings in that band. And those songs have a lot of stuff going on, bass, a lot of keyboard stuff. Jeff has some electronics that he's got that plays into all of this. And if the tempo's wrong, the whole thing's going to be a nasty wreck on stage. It's just not. And that's a band full of really great musicians, and they know what time it is. Okay, it's really good stuff. So it's interesting because I keep coming back to this guy that posted this yesterday about your band is only as good as your drummer, and this discussion. I don't think the discussion happened in the comments of what he was talking about, but what prompted his post was he got in like a heated discussion with somebody about whether or not to use a metronome, which just seems strange to get in a heated discussion about that because that means one or both of those people were like this, which is terrible. That's just bad that happened. It means that somebody doesn't want to get past their pride or arrogance on how things should work. It's like I said last week. It's like, what is important to you? If playing to a click isn't important to you, fine. If not learning your lyrics is important to you, then fine. But you're only going to go so far. You're going to go here. You're only going to make so much money. You're just the landscape that's available to you is going to be drastically different than the people who want to be better all the time and who are taking those steps. You heard it here from the wise words of Fred Fisher. I'm laughing at myself. Which, speaking of wise things, I kind of went down a little bit of a bunny trail. Just my thoughts tend to do that. But the midline logo, if you guys seen it, it's this kind of circle thing that has this design in it. It's a Chinese symbol. And somebody asked me, what does that symbol mean? Because it's been the midline logo since 1990. It's a Chinese symbol that means wealth and prosperity, which I thought that was a great sort of hidden thing within the midline mindset, to have this wealth and prosperity logo. So how do you get to wealth and prosperity? Is it by just winging it all the time and dressing like you're going to Walmart, but you're actually on the stage? Because there's this association with how people dress going to Walmart versus how people are dressed going out for the night. Drastically different things. Let's see. Anthony says you'll end up being without a band. I will. Or the drummer that doesn't care. I don't know. No, I think I'm pretty safe with my situation. If that's what you're getting at, maybe not. Uh, so wealth and prosperity, and then I have my students come here, and I love my relationships that I have with my students, and I have a handful of students that call me sensei, and I know that sensei means teacher. So I looked up sensei. Stop wearing pajamas outside the house. Yes, please, and thank you, RJ. Yes, I tend to wear just my pajamas when I'm going to bed or I'm lounging on the couch about to go to bed. You're never going to see me wearing pajamas doing sound check or well, maybe sound check, but not performing. um, so sensei. So I have a handful of students that call me sensei, and so it's a teacher or a wise person, sometimes an elder. um, but then it said in Google that people who are called sensei are not supposed to call themselves sensei. So I would never call myself sensei. I think it's a Japanese term. I think the way that you say it in Chinese is a little bit different, but somebody could educate me in that if they wanted to. Japanese students will call their teachers sensei out. It's out of a respect position or something that's very honoring to their teacher. They will call them sensei. But I discovered that it's the Japanese culture. It's not okay for the teacher to call themselves sensei. So don't call yourself. I'm not going to call myself sensei. It was just that Chinese symbol for midline got me down a bunny trail when people were calling me sensei, which is a Japanese term. So now I'm completely off topic from the click, and I'm running out my time here on Coffee with Fred. Thanks for joining in on the conversation, and that's hilarious. Yeah. So there you go. I'm just shared a bunch of opinions, strong-willed opinions, for that matter. At any rate, I'm going to jump over to my music world here and get ready for teaching today. And I was supposed to fix my son's truck while he was gone. He's been gone for almost 2 months. I have not popped the hood on that thing yet, and he's going to be home in a week. So I think I'll run out there and try to at least diagnose what the thing is, and then convince myself to put on my mechanic hat and get that thing solved. So, and hopefully I can do all of that before 2 p.m. Oh, Mark Gruber's here. You're still my favorite drummer to jam with, Fred. Mark, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Mark Gruber here, people, is a fantastic dude and bass player that I get to play with the Cliff Miller Band. And we're fairly new in our awesome relationship, but this guy is incredible to hang out with and play music with. I love stepping on stage with Mark. It's always fun. So, Anthony, great session, brother. Give it a look. Got to bounce. Okay, Marcy. Thank you for being the voice for stating opinions out loud. They need to be had. Rock on. Oh, Marcy, you have an awesome day. Okay. And Blue Sky, I'll have to, Mary and I love going and seeing bands play, supporting our friends. And I am typically playing, so I don't always get an opportunity to sneak away and watch some other band, but I'm sure I'll see you soon enough, Marcy. So keep it up. All right, folks, just elevate. There's nothing wrong with being better. There's nothing wrong with striving to be better. Like, for me personally, I don't like to get on stage and I don't know what to do, because I feel like if I'm not prepared and I do that, I'm letting down the band, and B, I'm being an embarrassment to myself. I don't want to be. I don't want to feel embarrassed when I get on stage. And I would hope that other people I play music with would have the same desire to know what they're supposed to do and when. I had a bass player friend of mine years ago, who's awesome. I've played on stage with this guy off and on for years and years, and he's been a good friend for almost 30 years. But I'm not going to tell you who he is. But we got done and we went backstage, and there was a couch in the green room, and I don't think he was having a very good gig. And he looks at me and he goes, "Fred Fisher, you hear all my bad notes." And I looked right at him. I said, "I'm not sure I hear all of them." So that was kind of a wake up call for him. Was like, oh, maybe I should get a little more focused on what I'm doing. And maybe you should. Don't leave me hanging out there, because that bass drum and that bass guitar need to be working together. So, all right, guys, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to go see if I have to be a mechanic, and then I'm going to teach some drum lessons. All right. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.